Have you ever loved someone so much that you would do anything to make them want you back? Have you texted them 100 times, begged them to stay, showed up at places you knew they would be, and still watched them pull further and further away? If you have, I need you to feel something right now. That ache in your chest, that tightness when you check your phone and see nothing back, that desperation that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. wondering what you did wrong. I need you to know something. You didn't do anything wrong. The problem isn't you. The problem is that you've been playing a game you were never taught the rules to. You've been doing exactly what every blog post, every friend, every relationship expert tells you to do. You reached out, you showed vulnerability, you opened your heart and said everything you felt. And what happened? They disappeared even faster. They became more distant, they pulled away harder, and you kept wondering why nothing you do seems to work. Here is the brutal truth nobody tells you about avoidant people. The more you chase them, the more they run. The more you pour yourself into them, the more they retreat. The more you try to prove your love, the less they feel it. This isn't because they're cold. This isn't because they don't care. It's because of something deep inside them that you cannot see, something that controls their every move without them even realizing it. You see, avoidant people are not like you. They don't think about relationships the way you do. When you miss them, they feel pressured. When you reach out, they feel cornered. When you show love, they feel like they're losing themselves. And the harder you try to bring them closer, the more they interpret it as a threat to their freedom. This is why everything you have tried has failed. Not because you're unworthy, not because you don't deserve love, but because you have been fighting against the current instead of working with it. Now, I need you to understand something before we go further. What I'm about to share with you goes against every piece of advice you have ever heard. Some of it might feel uncomfortable. Some of it might feel wrong, but if you stay with me until the end, you are going to understand something that will change everything about how you deal with avoidant people forever. Here is what most people get completely backwards. They think that to make someone miss them, they need to constantly remind that person they exist. They think the more present they are, the more the other person will want them back. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. In the mind of an avoidant, your constant presence doesn't say love. It says suffocation, it says pressure, it says I'm going to lose myself if I let you in any deeper. So what actually works? That is exactly what we are going to break down in this video. I am going to share with you psychological tactics that most people are too afraid to talk about. Not manipulation, not games, just pure psychological understanding of how avoidant people think and how you can use that understanding to create an environment where they actually want to come back to you. But here's the deal. This only works if you watch the entire video, because every strategy I'm about to share builds on the one before it. Skip to the middle and you will misunderstand the entire thing. Watch till the end and you will have the complete picture. So do yourself a favor. Don't skip, don't scroll ahead. Stay with me right now, and I promise you will leave this video with a complete understanding of how to make an avoidant person miss you so much it actually terrifies them. And if you have ever felt like you were losing your mind chasing someone who just wouldn't respond, if you have ever wondered why your love feels like poison to the person you want most, this video is going to make everything finally make sense. So grab a coffee, sit somewhere comfortable, and let me show you what nobody else will. Before I share any strategy with you, there is something you must understand at the deepest level. And I mean really understand it, not just read it and move on. This is the foundation everything else is built on. Skip this, and every tactic I show you afterward will feel hollow. It will feel like you're playing games without knowing why. So take a breath and let this sink in. Avoidant people are not broken. They are not cold. They are not incapable of love. They are wounded. They are scared. They are running from something they don't even fully understand themselves. When someone has an avoidant attachment style, it did not start with you. It started years, sometimes decades, before you ever met them. Somewhere in their childhood, they learned a devastating lesson. They learned that needing people is dangerous. They learned that getting close to someone means losing yourself. They learned that if you let someone in completely, you will eventually get hurt. And that lesson became so deeply embedded in their nervous system that it runs their entire life without them even realizing it. So when you come into their life full of love and passion and desire, their first instinct is not to embrace you. Their first instinct is to protect themselves, because in their mind, you are not safety. You are a threat, not because of who you are, but because of what you represent. You represent closeness. You represent dependency. You represent the possibility of losing themselves entirely. And that scares them more than anything else in the world. This is why chasing them makes everything worse. Every time you reach out, every time you express how much you miss them, every time you pour your heart into a message, their brain interprets it as pressure. It interprets it as you demanding something they cannot give. It interprets it as you trying to make them be something they're not ready to be. And the more you push, the more they retreat. Here is something that will break your heart and heal it at the same time. When an avoidant person pulls away from you, they are not trying to hurt you. They are trying to survive. They are protecting the only thing they know how to protect, which is their sense of self. They would rather lose you than lose themselves. And that is not a reflection of your worth. That is a reflection of how deeply their wound runs. Now, here is where most people get stuck. They think if they just love the avoidant hard enough, long enough, patient enough, they will eventually change. They will eventually see how much love is available to them and finally let themselves be happy. And I respect that hope. I do. But I need to tell you something important. You cannot heal someone else's wound for them. You cannot love someone into safety if they have not done the work to find it themselves. That is their journey, not yours. But what you can do is change the environment. You can become the kind of person who makes them feel safe enough to want to come closer. You can create conditions where their fear starts to soften, and that is exactly what the strategies I'm about to share are designed to do. The real shift you need to make is this: stop trying to earn their love. Stop trying to prove you are worthy of them. Stop trying to chase them back into your life. Instead, become someone who radiates the energy they cannot resist. Become someone who shows them what freedom looks like inside a connection. Become someone who proves that closeness does not have to mean losing yourself. When you make this shift, everything changes. You stop being a source of pressure and start being a source of curiosity. They start wondering about you instead of running from you. They start wanting to understand you instead of feeling overwhelmed by you. And that is when the magic happens. That is when they begin to miss you, not because you chased them, but because you became someone they actually want to be close to. So here is your takeaway from this section. Before you apply any tactic, before you try any strategy, you must fix your mindset first. You must understand that you are not dealing with someone who doesn't care. You are dealing with someone who cares so much it terrifies them, and your job is not to love them harder. Your job is to love them in a way that makes them feel safe enough to stay. Now, we get to the heart of everything. This is where I show you exactly what to do. But I need you to understand something first. These are not tricks. These are not manipulation games. These are psychological principles that help you work with how an avoidant brain actually functions. When you understand the science behind these tactics, you will see why they work so powerfully. The first tactic is something I call the irresistible disappearance. And before you dismiss this as the classic advice everyone gives about no contact, hear me out. There is a massive difference between going silent because you're hurt and going silent strategically because you understand what it does to an avoidant mind. When you suddenly disappear from an avoidant person's life, something profound happens in their brain. They have been conditioned to expect you to chase. They have been trained by your previous behavior to believe that you will always reach out eventually. So when you go quiet, when you stop texting, when you stop showing up, their brain cannot process the absence. It keeps looking for you. It keeps waiting for you. And because avoidant people are deeply afraid of loss, your disappearance triggers something called loss aversion. Their mind becomes obsessed with what is no longer there. This is where most people fail. They go silent for 2 days and then panic. They send another text. They break the silence. And what have they just done? They have completely destroyed the psychological pressure they built. The avoidance person learns that if they just wait long enough, you will come back on your own. Your silence stops working. The key to making this tactic powerful is commitment. You must disappear completely and stay gone long enough for them to confront their feelings. without you interfering. I'm not talking about playing games. I'm talking about genuinely stepping back and focusing on yourself so completely that you don't need to check your phone every 5 minutes. When you do this, something incredible happens. They start to miss you, not because you were amazing. They start to miss you because they were forced to realize how much space you occupied in their daily life. The second tactic is what I call the autonomy magnet. This is the most powerful thing you can do with an avoidant person. You become so absorbed in your own life, so engaged with your own growth, so genuinely happy with your own path that they cannot help but notice. Here is why this works so specifically for avoidant people. They are terrified of merging with someone else. They are terrified of losing their identity in a relationship. So when they see you thriving independently, when they see you living a full life without needing them, something shifts in their perception. You stop being a threat to their independence. You become someone who has their own independence, and that is magnetic to them. Think about it from their perspective. They have spent their whole life protecting their sense of self, and then they see you, a person who is deeply connected to their own identity, their own goals, their own happiness. You represent everything they value: freedom, autonomy, self-possession. And suddenly, you become the most interesting person in the room, not because you chased them, but because you didn't need them at all. This is why sharing your wins on social media, showing up in spaces where they might notice you living your best life, being genuinely busy and engaged with your own growth, all of these things create a pull that is almost impossible to resist. They start to wonder about you. They start to want to know what you're doing. And when they finally reach out, it will not be because they felt guilty or pressured. It will be because they genuinely want to be part of what you have going on. The third tactic is the strategic independence display. This one requires subtlety because it is not about telling them how great your life is. It is about letting them hear about it through the grapevine. Avoidant people are highly sensitive to any hint of pressure from you directly. But if they hear from a mutual friend about how you're thriving, about how you're doing amazing things, about how you seem genuinely happy and unbothered, their subconscious kicks into gear. They start to fear missing out. They start to wonder if they made a mistake. And they start to feel an urge to reconnect, not because they feel sorry for you, but because they want to be part of your world before it moves on without them. The final tactic I want to share with you today is the challenge response. This is perhaps the most important one. Avoidant people are deeply attracted to confidence. They are repelled by neediness. They cannot resist someone who seems completely unbothered by whether they are around or not. When you respond to them with calm energy, when you don't scramble to reply instantly, when you show them that you have your own life and your own priorities, you trigger something in their psychology. They start to chase you not because you are trying to make them chase you, but because you have become the challenge they cannot resist. Here is the secret. You do not have to pretend to be unbothered. You actually have to become unbothered. And the way you do that is by genuinely building a life that does not depend on whether they choose you or not. When you do that, your calm energy becomes real. It becomes magnetic. And it becomes the most powerful thing you have ever wielded against an avoidant heart. Before I leave you with this final truth, I need you to sit with something for a moment. Everything I shared with you in the last few minutes was not about playing games. It was not about manipulation. It was about understanding one fundamental reality. You cannot force anyone to choose you. You cannot chase someone into loving you. You cannot love someone into being ready for you if they have not done their own inner work. The strategies I gave you are powerful. They work. But only if you use them from the right place. Only if you use them because you genuinely want to create the conditions for someone to want to come back to you, not because you are desperately trying to hold on to someone who has one foot already out the door. Here is what I want you to take away from this entire video. The most powerful move you can ever make in any relationship, especially with someone who has an avoidant attachment style, is to become so deeply rooted in your own worth that you no longer need anyone to confirm it. When you reach that place, something magical happens. You stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop performing, and in that moment, you become the most attractive version of yourself that anyone could ever encounter. Everything I taught you today works because it removes pressure from the equation. When you disappear, you remove the pressure of constant expectation. When you build your own life, you remove the pressure of being someone's entire world. When you display independence, you remove the pressure of suffocation. When you respond with calm confidence, you remove the pressure of emotional demand. And in that space, free from pressure, an avoidant person can finally breathe. They can finally think. They can finally ask themselves what they actually want instead of what they are afraid of. But here is the ultimate truth I need you to hear. If someone comes back to you because of the tactics you used, but you have not actually changed, they will leave again. If someone returns because you created a temporary illusion, but you are still the same desperate, needy person underneath, the cycle will repeat. The only version of this that leads to real, lasting connection is when you use these strategies as a catalyst to actually transform yourself. When you use this knowledge to become someone who genuinely doesn't need them, who genuinely has their own life, who genuinely radiates freedom and confidence, then whatever comes back to you becomes real. It becomes sustainable. It becomes something that actually has a chance. So here is what I need you to do after you finish watching this video. Do not just copy these tactics and apply them mechanically. Do not just go silent and wait resentfully for them to come back. Instead, take this as a sign to start rebuilding yourself from the inside out. Focus on your growth with an intensity that scares you. Build a life so rich and so full that you become undeniable. Work on your self-worth until you no longer accept breadcrumbs from anyone. And when you do that, when you truly commit to that journey, two things will happen. Either the person you want will finally see you clearly and step toward you, or you will realize you outgrew them entirely and find someone who matches the incredible person you have become. Either outcome is a victory. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me about your experience with avoidant people. Were you the one chasing? Did you see yourself in everything I described today? I read every single comment, and I respond to as many as I possibly can. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. If this video resonated with you, if it made something finally click in your mind, do me a favor right now. Hit the subscribe button and make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss a video like this again. I put out content like this every single week that helps you understand people better, love smarter, and become the version of yourself that others cannot help but gravitate toward. And one last thing. If you want me to go deeper into this topic, if you want part 2 where I break down exactly how to keep an avoidant person once they come back, what to do when they pull away again, and how to build real emotional safety that keeps them choosing you, let me know in the comments. I see those requests and I will make it happen if enough of you ask for it. You deserve to be chosen by someone who runs toward you, not away from you. And if that person hasn't figured out how to do that yet, your job is not to chase them harder. Your job is to become so extraordinary that they have no choice but to realize what they almost lost. Go be that person. Go be unignorable. And I will see you in the next one.